Hi everyone, we welcome you to this tutorial. This is the first tutorial of this new year 2018. So we will be doing something new other than what we were doing last year. So in this tutorial we will be covering Spring Boot with MongoDB. So earlier whatever we were doing was related to Spring Data JPA where we were connecting to SQL based databases. Our last example relating to Spring Security and Spring Data JPA was related to Oracle database. Now today we will be covering MongoDB. Why MongoDB? MongoDB is a NoSQL document based database. Now what's the advantage of it over RDBMS or SQL based? RDBMS based compared to RDBMS based databases, this document based NoSQL based databases are fast, very fast because of their in RDBMS type database like Oracle, your modeling is different. Your data modeling will be different rather than over here. In MongoDB, we will be doing a modeling in a different way. This NoSQL based database has taken the world by storm for the past few years. So it's good that you learn how to connect your MongoDB from your Spring application. Here, rather than using MongoDB from our local host or whatever you have installed MongoDB server on your system, we'll be using MongoDB on cloud. So we are covering two things over here. First is MongoDB connectivity, and next is not only from your system, your MongoDB server on cloud. So here we will be learning one extra thing, how to do it on the cloud, because in your ideal application you will have database on your other server rather than your local host. So it's better you learn how to set that up. Here won't be covering much about MongoDB, but rather connectivity. In our later tutorials we'll be covering more about MongoDB with Spring Data MongoDB with Spring Boot, about CRUD and all those types, all how to do all those stuffs. We'll be focusing more about how to start with it. So before that, you should create your account in cloud.mongodb.com. Go there and create an account over there. But before that, let's have a look at the difference first. So in RDBMS data modeling, let us take for example, we have a employee database. Now what you will be having over there, say you have a list of employees in your organization. They each of the employees can have multiple contact numbers. So in that case your modeling will be two tables. Now their table corresponds to thing over MongoDB called collection. Now each row in table is corresponds over here called document, and each column is mapped here as called field. So these are the different. This is the first thing you need to know, and next thing you need to know is that modeling structure. How you will model your database. Now for relational database RDBMS like Oracle or MySQL, the example that I just now said, if you have an employee structure in your organization with multiple contact details, you'll be having two tables, say an employee table and a contact details table. For each employee you will have multiple entries in your contact details table, with employee ID or whatever yeah, employee ID as the foreign key in your contact details table, so that whenever you fetch a single employee, you can fetch all the contact details of that particular employee from the contact table. But in MongoDB will use a single document. Inside a document, it's in key value pair, just like you use map or hash map in Java, or JSON like thing you do it in JavaScript like that. It's like very easy. So in key value pair you will have a key, say called contact, and the value will be a list of contact details or list of phone numbers. So it's very easy, just like you do it in JSON, and it's very fast because in that case in RDBMS you have to do table join and pull those data up, whereas here it's in a single document and it can be easily fetched and reduces the time, and here comes the better performance. So let's first see what you can do. First, you go to cloud.mongodb.com, create an account over there, and then as soon as you create an account, a project will be automatically created. We have two projects. This one was created especially for our organization name. Then this project was created for this tutorial. Then you have to do is create a cluster. Creating a cluster and deploying it takes a bit of time, so we have already done it. And then once it's done, you have to come over here, security, IP whitelisting. If you have a fixed if you have a fixed IP address, then you can put that IP address, or just like this is my current IP address. Now you can pick it up, but I won't pick that up. I will give it as allow from any IP address. So though this is not secure because this is only for tutorial, but in your actual application you will not have this because your application will be hosted on a fixed IP address, and you should map that over here. And then you have to come over here and see there is something called connect. As soon as you create your cluster, this is you can create a free cluster using Amazon Web Services. It's absolutely free. You can do that for your testing. Now come over here, click on connect. Now there are three ways you can connect: using Mongo shell, or from your application, or from the MongoDB Compass. So first we will use this to create our database from the UI, and then we'll see connect our application. So let's click it over here. This is the URL that we have. So I'll copy this URL. As soon as you copy this URL, it will be detected over here. It gets auto detected by MongoDB Compass. You can see it has been auto detected. You click on yes, and all the details will come over here. You can see all the details has come over here. You type in the password over here, and then click on connect. Now it will try to connect to the cloud database. So it is now loading the navigation. So let's wait for that moment. Yeah, you can see it has been created. Now let's create a database first. These are the two database that gets automatically created. Now let's create a database, name it as test, and you have to create a collection. We'll create a collection called users. This is for simplicity, because the employee example that I told just quite a bit of time back, we'll take that example on a next tutorial to explain bit more. So the DB has been created now. Now next what we will do is go inside this. Then you have this. We'll create a document inside here. First is we'll give a user will have a username, say test one. Then add one more field, password. We'll give it as 123 and say one more thing called role. It should actually map with an enum in your. We'll give it as a number, say 0. So we have created our first document, inserted our first document. So you have seen, we have till now we have used the compass, the normal way that you have been using, either the Mongo shell or here. So let's come over here and okay. But before that, before connecting it to our application, let's I'll click it over here. I will copy. I'll show you the process. Just before that, let's come over here and you can see I have already created a module called named Spring Boot Data Mongo. Here we will be handling this. So first let's take a look at our POM file. So it is normally a whatever you have generally for a Spring Boot, but this difference, though we won't be using any web related feature, but I added it anyway, because we won't be using any controller. We will be running it from the command line only, our entire boot application. So you can see we have this new dependency. So note this down. The dependency name is Spring Starter Data MongoDB. So this will actually take care of the MongoDB dependency. This is the thing that you all only need. Don't use Spring Data JPA. JPA is not a NoSQL. It cannot map to NoSQL databases. MongoDB is a NoSQL database. So it has a different template and you have to write different piece. So don't mix it up. For Spring Data JPA, you will use only SQL based databases like MySQL, Oracle, or other things. So since just as we did in so with this we covered the pom.xml file. Now let's take a look at what we have in our bin. Just as we have entity bin, similarly we have a bin over here. One thing, if you have noticed that there is an underscore ID that gets automatically created. Now here you can see the bin name is mapping with the collection name over here. There was users, here also is users. You can see over there it was users. So under test, so we have created same thing over there a field called id will explain all this at the red document at the red id in our next tutorial. Id, then username, password, and role. So one thing we have made a mistake is you can see role is here as string. It will be int32. So you can see this to as strings. This is actually an object id over here. We will map it as a string over there, and this is integer. So this is a simple getter setter, and this is a toString. Now next come to the repository that we used to have for JPA also. Similar thing over here, but it's different. Just for that, keep note of that you should not use @entity because that is related to JPA. We are not using JPA and we don't have any dependency of JPA also in our POM. So remember this thing, @document and this @id. This comes from this and this packages. So let's take a look at what we have at user repository. User repository, same thing, an interface, but this time it will be extending. Instead of last time we had JPA repository, this time we'll have extending Mongo repository, then the class name and the ID, the primary key that you call it. Okay, now let's take a look at what we have when we run the application. Here we have our application. We are auto varying the user repository. Then we have this method. So what we will be doing, we will be printing the list which will have the all the users. So what we have in our users, this we have only one user, one document, so it should print this in our console. So to print this, what we have done, we have the Spring Boot application, this class, we have implemented the command line runner. In command line runner, we have implemented this interface. So what happens with that, it comes with a run method. So when you run this method will be automatically invoked, and whatever you have inside this will be called. Now the most crucial thing about this is we have to connect to our cloud database. How we will do it in JP also, we used to do it using application properties file. So here also we'll have to do it using the same method. Remember, this time what we will have to do first is this URL. Now spring.data.mongodb.url. What is this? This will the MongoDB URI. So where it will come from? Go to your cluster there. Now you can see it will show you this too, 3.6 or 3.4. If you, since MongoDB dependency that we have in our Spring Boot POM file, that actually uses Spring, means MongoDB driver 3.4. That's why we cannot use this. This will not work. We'll have to use this one. So this is your entire URI. So copy this down. Next, you have to just paste it over here. So simple copy paste. So we have copied it. Now next what you have to do, you have to write the password over here and write down the password. And next thing what you have to do is give the database name. If I don't mention it, it will not be able to find out. So I'll have to give the database name. So what was the name of the database that we are using? That is test. Okay, so let's give it. Let's come over here and we will run this application. So you should, if it connects properly, you should be able to see the output. If it fails, then also you'll be able to see. So one thing I will give you an idea, just like you used to write at the rate entity. So when you write at the rate document, it maps to that document. It means you can use this with a different name if your class name differs from your actual collection name. So you can use this. I could have actually omitted this also. You can think of this at the rate id as similar to the at the rate id that you use in JPA to denote that this is the id of that primary key sort of thing. Id. I'll explain this thing in more in detail in our next tutorial, how this at the rate id and at the rate document works. So you can see it has started. So we have to wait. Yeah, bingo. You can see it is connected, started, and this is the data that you are getting, and we stored it. You can see verify it, role 0, password 123, username test 1, and this is the ID that we had over there. So you can see easily without installing MongoDB on your system, you can easily connect to Cloud MongoDB from your application. If you have good stable internet connection, you don't need to install MongoDB because we don't prefer unnecessarily installing application on your system when you can get something free on the web, because Amazon Web Services is offering free cluster for your, you can use that of course for your testing purposes. You should not use it for business or production. So this is for our tutorial, so that's why we set up this cluster as a free one. And you can see, we will take up CRUD example. We'll be inserting, deleting, querying uh, different ways. Just as we used to write SQL queries, we can write over here fetch documents like that way in our next tutorial. And also we'll be covering these things, what is happening in this detail. This was mainly how to connect to the cloud MongoDB server from your Spring Boot application. So with this we come to an end. I hope you like this video. If you liked it, subscribe to our channel, comment if you have any queries, connect with our Facebook page. You can also download this code from our GitHub link given below. And if you have any suggestions, please respond back. We'll try to cover that. If you want to have detail in other tutorials, any other tutorials, please send us emails or post on our Facebook page. Till then, goodbye. We hope that this new video of this new year should have given you a boost. So till we come back with our next tutorial on this Spring Boot or whatever other tutorials or Angular, whatever series are running. So till then, goodbye, happy coding, and enjoy.